Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today we are looking again at the Shikishima. The reason being, I've seen a lot of Shikishimas around lately. I think there was a sort of sale or something going on. And I can somewhat understand the attraction of having a ship with the largest gun in the game. Because the Shikishima has a very, very large gun indeed. These are 510mm, or I don't even know what that is in inches. I think it's more than 20 or 20 odd. Of main guns. This is a super-Yamato. This is what the Japanese thought the Americans would do with their ships, that they would be developing 18-inch guns or 460mm or 457 as we have actually in game, funnily enough. And they as such planned already ahead to build Yamatos with even bigger guns. But because the guns are this large, they only get 6 of them. So is the Shikishima a good ship? Is this really going to hit hard? The one trick that the Shikishima has up its sleeve is in the statistics here. It's the 350% citadel damage rate. And the reason that is so great is because that means that with almost 3,000 points of base damage, with a 350% modifier, you can score hits for 10,000 points of damage. Now there's a second ship in here that can do this, and that is the incomparable, the British tier 10 battle cruiser, which also has 6 guns, and which also has almost the same caliber of 508mm and also has a 350% citadel damage modifier. The difference being the Shikishima doesn't quite have the same penetration as the incomparable, at least not from what I've seen. It is actually, it can be reasonably difficult with the Shikishima to, well, hit something at long range that isn't the battleship, and then to get the necessary full penetrations, to guaranteed full penetrations, to make sure that you get the maximum out of your 6 guns on target with the respective citadel chance throws. So with the Shikishima, you can maybe score 2-3 citadels in a regular game, if you're lucky, usually around 2. With an incomparable, that's a different story. Also because the incomparable can operate at a lot more mobile than the Shikishima, which is more a Yamato-based artillery platform. So really the one thing, and the one thing only, that the Shikishima is good at is blasting enemy battleships at extreme ranges. Given that it's a tier 10, it's really expensive, and it's because it's a premium. I was going to say, hey, let's have a couple of games, and I'm going to put Yamamoto on that, because Yamamoto has the armor-piercing capped shell plus skill, which gives higher penetration and higher sustainability for the armor-piercing shell. So this is the best, the absolute highest penetration power that you can get out of these 6 guns. And they do need to hit hard, because you only get 6 of them. And that is what we'll be trying out today, so you can judge for yourself if it's worth getting that thing. We are on encounter in base capture mode against Vermont, Colombo, Minnesota, Yoshino, Des Moines, no, that's a bot, Baltimore and Shimakaze. Off we go. One of the problems I have with these extremely single-use sort of ships is that you often have a really hard time compensating for your team, and you need your team to play their roles correctly. And the Shikishima is very much at the extreme end. So the Yamato as well is somewhat of a mid-range, somewhat of a long-range early game, mid-range late game ship. But the Shikishima sort of takes it to the extreme because like I said, she only gets 6 guns. Now these 6 guns have quite some punch, but you actually need to get the citadels in order to really make something happen out of these. Anyway, where's my team going? Holland is going middle, which is an odd choice, but given that there are going to be cruisers coming around, maybe understandable. I've got Poison with me, which I would prefer to be in. There's the bot Des Moines. And well, we'll see if we can get the guns on target. We're spotted anyway, so may as well shoot. We've got nothing else to shoot at. So shots out, but I'm not wasting a precise aim on that thing. Bot Des Moines can be dangerous. And we've got 2 full penetrations, but and shot one of his guns off, and another full and a semi-pen. So that's a good 10,000 points of damage for the first salvo. And we are starting to see where the rest of the enemy team is. Yoshino immediately starts opening up on me with a high explosive, which is the right choice, probably, at that range. And we've also got a Baltimore coming in here. Now the problem with the cruisers is that they tend not to hold still. So let's see if Baltimore is paying attention. Shots out. He hasn't actually seen me, but he's already turning to dodge, and as such only gets one shot in. There's also Minnesota coming, and we haven't. Okay, the Shimakaze is on the other side, so I don't have to be afraid of Shimakaze torpedoes for now. So I'm going to reverse because there's too much firepower coming in there. And I am not in a ship that wants to tank. So let's get shots out at the Minnesota. And as you can see, I'm not necessarily manual aiming here, because the dispersion at this range without the precise aim up is not that great. I just want to make sure I'm not getting shot to bits while I'm reloading. And as you've also seen, against Minnesota at this range, yeah, not the greatest. I'm going to try manual aim, so that's a shot with manual aim, see if I can get the shells better on target, but still, we're only doing semi-pens against the Minnesota at this range. So, 11 kilometers, we might be having hit the belt armor there, but it's difficult to tell at this range, and yeah, like I said, the dispersion isn't the greatest, but the Minnesota obviously now has a problem, because she's getting HE spun by a Khabarovsk and a Holland. And that very much more than me actually spells the end of the Minnesota. Which, given that the Shimakaze is on the other side, and there's a Baltimore and a Yoshino, I'm going to give these 2 destroyers here a little bit of fire support. So we'll start out with the Baltimore, who is already in the turn. So we'll aim a little bit higher and see if we can get shots on target on the Baltimore, and also with the rear turrets. That was 1 pen and 1 overpen. And the rear turrets have missed, okay, because the Baltimore has actually moved at 11 kilometers. That's the problem with ships that are battleships, like the Shikishima. You can deal with cruisers, but only if they hold still. And cruisers, at least those who survive to more than the first half of the game, actually tend not to do that. Second salvo overshoots because, again, the Baltimore has turned left when I thought he was going to turn right. So now I have a Christopher Colombo there, and I think Holland and Khabarovsk can take down the Baltimore from there, and then it's just the Yoshino left. Yep. Yoshino is a torpedo threat, but not at this range, and Colombo is the bigger threat for the destroyers. So I am going to shoot at Colombo and see if we can, at the very least, draw some fire. Because, oh, there we go. See, that's a Citadel. So that's the first one. That's the first Citadel for this game from us. And there's the Yoshino over there. He is a squishier target, so I'm probably going to get more full penetrations. And is he going to reverse? No, he seems to be standing still. Okay, so I think he is going in reverse. Not Damaconing the single fire. A couple of shots on target, but bounced one off the Yoshino. And the rest did relatively or comparatively little to cause some damage. All right, we're 1 kill ahead, and it looks like the Holland has buggered off. So it's just Khabarovsk and me, but unfortunately the Christopher Colombo is still around and just got himself detected again. These were better shots at the Yoshino, but yeah, the Khabarovsk has lost the gunfight against the Yoshino. I'm not sure if the Colombo had something to do with that. But I am now alone against these 2, and if Yoshino goes defensive, I might have trouble getting that thing killed. So let's get a couple shots out. I think he's still reversing there. So the first salvo's fallen a bit short, and the second one's gone anywhere except for where I was aiming. And there is also Shimakaze coming, so I need to back off again because we're leading on points, and that Shimakaze can. If I'm already out of heals, that Shimakaze is going to be able to one-shot me. So last salvo off against the Yoshino, and then we're preparing ourselves for the inevitable, being rushed by a Shimakaze, and still no Citadel, which would have finished off the Yoshino. Colombo is still coming in with semi-armor piercing. Haaland is running away. And it's like, okay, he is low on health. It's understandable. There comes the Shimakaze. He's opening with his guns, so he's probably got the torpedoes away already. Let's get the precise aim up. Unfortunately, the turret rotation is so dreadful that I miss my opportunity to land some good shots on the broadside of the Shimakaze. I only got one HE shell on target, so that was a bit of a waste of a precise aim. But now we're going defensive against Colombo because we're 100 points ahead, and I'm not sure where the Shimakaze torpedoes are. But he might not have had torpedoes ready. Weirder things have happened. Anyway, we need to retreat because my team is sort of standoff range, and I don't want to rush in and lose the game for the team. Yoshino knows that they're behind and it needs to get into torpedo range. And again, without the precise aiming, the dispersion can really, really mess up your day, especially that you only have 6 guns. And as you can see, they do absolutely nothing if you get a bad dispersion roll or a bad sigma roll. So Yoshino is going in for the torpedo run, understandable. And I shouldn't even have bothered with the damage control here. That was a waste of a premium damage control kit. I got a couple of shots in, and there's my second Citadel for the game. And I almost got Yoshino. If my rear turrets would have been on target, then I would have still been getting the kill here. So I would say that's probably what you can kind of expect under normal circumstances in the Shikishima. It's not bad, but it's also not as outstanding as you'd think what you would get from the biggest guns in the game. So let's do a second round and give you a bit of a better idea. And as you can see, the Poison has done pretty well. The second battle is a domination game on neighbors, and you will notice the conspicuous absence of carriers, because against carriers, this ship goes down very, very quickly, just like any other battleship. So you are relegated mostly to backroom artillery, which isn't a bad thing. But in order to really make this ship shine, I feel you do need to get onto mid-range, just the same as in the Yamato, just in order to get the guns on target. So we are fighting Montana, Yamato, Iowa, Minotaur, Buffalo, and Double Shima, one of them being a black. We do have a Shimakaze, we do have a Worcester on our side, and we do have a Slava on our side, which funnily enough is more of a Citadel machine than this thing, but is not going to be having the same, kind of blappery that you get out of things. But we'll see how the Slava is going to do. And again, we have a Khabarovsk on our side, which is now a premium. That used to be the tier 10 tech tree destroyer on the Soviet tech tree line. And I am probably going to go for C-Cup, depending on where Khabarovsk is going. I do have Montana here with me. We'll see where the Khabar is going. And looks like Khabarovsk is maybe not heading into C, maybe contemplating B-Cup. So at least there's going to be some spotting. And there are 2 destroyers on the enemy team, so one of them may be showing up in C-Cup. No, Kaba is going C, but a dangerous route. Rather going around the right side of the island, he goes on the left side, which is an interesting choice, because Khabarovsk is not the most stealthy of ships, and if he runs into the Minotaur, he's in all kinds of trouble. So, but he has spotted one enemy battleship, and yes, one of the destroyers is in C-Cup. We've got shots at the Iowa at max range behind the island, so let's get a couple of shells over. We're still undetected because we are double bushed. Now there are islands in between, and we're just literally having a gun duel at 16 kilometers, but I think these shells have not hit anything. There are probably going to be torpedoes coming, so I'm already slowing down to start aiming at that Yamato. So let's get the precise aim up this time and see what we can do against the Yamato. Still not the most precise. Yep, there come the Shimakaze torpedoes. Saw these coming a mile away. And this the first 6,000 points of damage that we've done in this battle. We'll reverse and just gently. This is, by the way, why you're fitting the propulsion mod. So again, well, shots out at the Yamato, while the precise aim is still up. You do get 2 salvos out with the respective captain skills, and we'll see what that does. Yep, a couple of good full penetration. So you do have the penetration power. It's more a problem of only having 6 guns really that you can get on target. And like I said in my Citadel video earlier, it's a matter of luck really. So manual aim out at the Montana. Let's see if we can get anything happen here. And the answer will be no, we've straddled. So probably better to just leave the auto aim on, or the lock on, because it might draw the ships. I find personally that the shells towards the ship. I find personally that manual aim can often be... Yes, I know there's Shimakaze there. I'll be shooting at the Iowa in the meantime, if you don't mind. A relatively thinly armored tier 9 battleship. And I'll use my secondaries on the Shima, because 3 hits and shot one of his guns off, presumably, or one of his secondaries. I haven't paid attention. I find personally that the manual aim makes more sense on very precise ships, which have all their shells being drawn into the belt armor. But on ships that aren't as precise as like these things, I tend not to, unless I'm at point blank range and I can guarantee deck armor hits. So a couple more hits on the Iowa, but we're now about halfway through the battle, and we've done about 30,000 points of damage. And haven't really used much of our hit points yet, but also haven't really had much of an impact yet on the battle. That usually happens during the second half. So this is normally the point when you have to start pushing. So the Shimakaze has been dealt with. The Khabarovsk is taking the Iowa under fire. And there's Montana and Yamato over there. Everyone's aiming at me. We've just lost our Udaloy. And what we are holding 2 of the capture circles. We're still equal on points. And I am dodging some incoming shots there from the Montana. And yeah, there goes the Citadel against the Iowa, and that's how you rack up the damage in the Shikishima. Unfortunately, the enemy team is taking B, and whatever destroyer we have, whatever cruiser we have here around, which I think was a Worcester, seems not to be inclined to do anything about destroyers, unfortunately. So, oh yeah, the Montana can Citadel you right back, but there is something Shimakaze-ish in Pickup, and the Khabarovsk has just torpedoed the Yamato. That's a feat. which means I'm just going to keep pushing ahead, just in case there's Shimakaze torpedoes coming down through the middle. And just finish off the Iowa. Can I get shots? Nah, I can't get shots on the Montana. Let's just make sure the Iowa is dead. Yeah, there's a black Shimakaze. And Khabarovsk is still on full health, so he should be able to do something decent about that thing. But let's see if we can distract Montana and make sure that he doesn't blap the Khabarovsk in the side at close range. No, he's swinging the guns around. Leave the Khaba alone. Come on, he is a Yamato to shoot at. That's why I'm using the precise aim here. Oh, he had the high explosive loaded, presumably. And I'm not sure our Khabarovsk is going to be surviving that for very long then. Yeah, that's why I'm going to use manual aim at this close range to get the shots into the deck armor and guarantee the penetration and see if I can score a second Citadel. But there is Black Shimakaze out there. A couple more shots at the Monty. And can we finish him off? Yes, we can finish him off. But no more Citadels. We've done 80,000 points at this stage. So this is the second half of the battle comfort zone. And I'm switching here to high explosive in case the Black Shima is rushing me. Because our Khabarovsk, I believe after taking that high explosive blap from the Montana, is not in a shape to do anything. Now we are leading on points, so don't have to win any harder. Unfortunately, I only have loaded the high explosive, which if I had the armor piercing loaded, that Buffalo would have probably been dead. But I had the HE loaded in case Shima came around, but Shima seems not to be interested and wants to stealth torp. I am getting set on fire by the Buffalo, which is unsurprising. But I think I still got the hit points to deal with that. Now that was a Minotaur, and obviously a Minotaur is going to have torpedoes. So potential single fire threat here. Shots out at the Buffalo at long range. Well, 12 kilometers, but it's a cruiser, and cruisers tend to move. And yeah, missed the Buffalo. There come the Minotaur torpedoes. Worcester, you have sonar. How did you miss the... Okay, our Worcester has not necessarily been doing what I would expect him to do, but well, he's blind firing at... And here come the Shimakaze torpedoes. He's blind firing at the Minotaur. And the Minotaur is coming out of the smoke now. I don't know if he's been radared by Worcester, but he's left it a bit long. Yeah, Worcester is shooting a high explosive at a Minotaur. Okay, that tells you all you need to know about that Worcester. So Minotaur is stopping. I'm not sure why, but let's get a couple shots into the side of the Minotaur. And yeah, Minotaur is extremely squishy, and I got lucky again there with the Citadel. Pulled the kill back because the Minotaur had just killed the Worcester, and if I hadn't killed him with that last salvo, we would have actually lost the game. So yes, Shikishima. It's not a terrible ship, but personally, I quite prefer the Yamato, to be honest. She doesn't have the same monstrous citadel damage, but then you're not gonna score that many citadels with the Shikishima unless the enemy team lines up fully broadside at 8 kilometers in front of you and stands very still. So it's an okay ship. I personally prefer the Yamato just because of the larger amount of guns. And the one ship that is an absolute monstrosity with the APCS with the same caliber of guns is the Incomparable. So if you can get that thing, then get that thing. I take the Incomparable over Shikishima at any day. So there's that. And that's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.